up here, you can hear downstairs and things like that. But so it's not the best for viewing exhibits or whatever with the noises and all. Want to hit the next one? Okay. One of the things we do is I have been before Teresi came on board. Teaching the museology courses here, and I still consider us a lab, and hopefully, we'll have students coming here and working a lot. But I like teaching here because I can really do applied learning, which is one of the big emphasis at UH Hilo, to have people do hands-on experience. And literally, you can't understand to me, what it takes to, say, put an exhibit together or try to be even in your presentation and stuff unless you do it. One of my volunteers, who's of Portuguese heritage, she just did an exhibit. Well, she wanted to do an exhibit on Portuguese heritage, and I said, okay, but you're doing it. I'm going to just kind of work with you on it. And also between all of us, we sort of worked with this gal, Marie Souza Ho, on her presentation. But she was just like, oh, I couldn't sleep last night. Oh my God, I kept, and she kept doing all this research. And I said, okay, now we got to narrow it down to 2 paragraphs. Can do. And being faculty, I'm kind of on the publisher perish thing. But to me, these exhibits are my publications. They get to who I want them to get to, and hopefully we're educating people at the same time. So in the background you see a blue board there. That's our traveling exhibit board, and so if nothing else, they get to at least do a traveling exhibit, if not something in the actual gallery. And the other thing, this other kind of philosophy I have, and I don't know if this is going to rub people the wrong way, but I try to break down the we-they dichotomy right away, because I think that can be really damaging. And yes, you can look at NAGPRA, you can look at, things that were stolen. And I taught Native American Studies for years on the mainland at Western Washington University, and so I'm very aware of, kind of both Hawaiian and Native American and Pacific Island really issues. But I think one of the first things I do in class is I have a hat, and in it are all these different scenarios of, things historically and worldwide that have happened, the Elgin Marbles, the, Angkor Wat, all of these different things, and have people pull something, and it takes them out of their comfort zone. So here, you could have Homi Pahio or something doing the Elgin Marbles, and it's like, wow, well, this is kind of like how we feel. And I'm like, yeah, so it's a universal, that people are feeling that they have been kept from their heritage and their culture. And so part of what we do is actually have students also do sort of very, very preliminary sort of conservation work as well. I mean, real conservation, you've got to have a couple degrees in chemistry. But this gives you some idea. And some of you might know Josh. He is, I think he's out with his master's now, but he's another UH student. Next. And here's another class. This is, actually this kind of goes into what Nicole's been doing too. The section that they did was on a gal named Linda Beach. So the other thing that I try to do in the exhibits is not just do history, but do her story too, and tell women's stories. And there was this very eccentric woman who lived down in Waipio named Linda Beach. And she passed away a few years ago. I unfortunately didn't get to know her before that. And her house was just sitting there full of stuff. And she had told people that she was this big movie star in Japan and everything. I think everybody just sort of poo-pooed her. But when I started to, I was invited down basically to go through her house because they were going to pretty much empty it out, and unfortunately it burned a couple weeks after I got in there. But I was looking for photographs and any documentation, and of course most of it was in Japanese. But we found out indeed she was a big, actually, TV star. She did some movies. And she also worked with somebody that I worked with, who's Charles Ken, who was an amazing Lua person, and I felt very lucky that he let me into his world, and I interviewed him probably about 5 times. And so there's a picture of him in this exhibit and all. But her husband was a guy named Kai's Beach, and he is somebody that Nicole's been looking into, because he was at Iwo Jima, and he was a journalist, and had won a Pulitzer Prize for his coverage of the Korean War. So it's, you know, trying to find those kind of unusual stories in your community and pull them out. And another story is William H. Rickard. And I will let you guys go through both exhibits so you can see who he is. I don't think I put any slides of him here. You want to do the next one? But he was this guy from Cornwall, England, who came here very, very early on and was the plantation manager here in town. And but he was a royalist. He came over, and Lot Kamehameha became the godfather of his daughter, who was born on the ship coming over here. And we have his invitation to Kalakaua coronation. And when the overthrow happened, he got together with Joseph Navahi and Wilcoxon and about Gulick, and I'm trying to remember the last guy, but 5 of them, and planned and plotted out the cultural revolution, counter-revolution, cultural, yeah, same, counter-revolution, and you know, got jailed for it and was sentenced to be hanged. And so getting his story, when they so-called pardoned the Queen, they also pardoned him, and Joseph Navahi and stuff. He came back to Honokaa, but both Navahi and Rickard had gotten TB while they were in prison, so he only lasted a couple more years, but over here. And almost all of his family signed the Kui petition against annexation, but he didn't, and it's because his get out of jail card was do not be political from now on. So, okay, so here's my last class. Good fun, folks, and this is us at the Jodo Mission. This is something that, boy, if you guys haven't been there, there's a wonderful Jodo Mission just above Pa'ahau, and it's a place that I'm very concerned about, because the folks that you see in some of the folks you see in the first row are the last people who are attending this beautiful place. And this is where Katsugoro, the only lynching that's been documented in Hawaii, he's buried there. And there's a memorial to him down in Honokaa. So you don't just talk about the wonderful stuff, but we have a racist history in this town too, and that needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed because it continues to happen. And so in most of my sections in the exhibit downstairs, the permanent exhibit, I have pictures or text that talks about why these different ethnic groups came to Hawaii. Because, you know, we have such an anti-immigrant thing going on in our country right now that you have to know, okay, you know the Puerto Rican thing with, you know, well, that's why everybody came here initially. They had 2 hurricanes that came through, killed thousands of people, destroyed the, you know, the sugar industry down there, and so they literally, some people say, kidnapped these people off the island and brought them elsewhere. So, you know, we have to, you know, we're always looking for that connection, right, where it's something relevant to today. So you could sit there and go, oh, the Japanese came in such and such a year, and so came in such and such a year. You could just spew out those kinds of things. But what you want to hit is why. Why did they leave? And the fact that it continues to happen. Okay. So anyway, and the Jodo Mission is, it's the oldest Japanese religious building in Hawaii. And the original building was just all pegged together with no nails. It's an absolutely gorgeous place, and it's on Bishop Estate land. So that's after this last generation goes, what's going to happen to the building and the Butsudan and everything that's in there. And so this is our, not the Bill of Rights, that was, but this is another example of what the students do sometimes. Upstairs in the foyer area, there's an exhibit case, so they were able to do an exhibit, an extension of the YPO exhibit, because I always have too many photos, too much text to actually go in the exhibit, so we pulled some of those up here. Oh, and these are just students. Alex Ikiuchi, his family owns Ikiuchi store on the corner here. He just finished his master's at Yale in history. and then the gal in the middle, Sophia, is at Brown University, and her sister, Olivia, is at Stanford. And so they were helping out every summer, just wanting to experience, you know, how we do things and stuff. So they put up some of the YPO exhibit. That's their last project. But it's kind of fun to have these people come, you know,